Hi, so fortunately the milk part 5. The very small volcano stopped erupting as suddenly as if it had been turned off. That was a bit peculiar, wasn't it? Said the professor. It was, I agreed, gloom and despair and despondency overcoming me. That man in the balloon stole my milk. We are lost in the past, with jungles and pirates and volcanoes. Now I will never get home. My children will never have breakfast. We are doomed to float forever through the dusty air of the past in a hot air balloon. It's not a balloon, said Professor Stegg. It's a floaty ball person carrier. What nonsense you do talk. Now, I think that should do the trick. He finished attaching the emerald to the box using string, mostly, and also sticky tape, and he pushed the red button. Where are we going? I asked. It seemed like the sun was zooming across the sky, as if nights were following days in a flickering strobe. The far, far future, said Professor Stegg. The machine stopped. We were hanging in the air above a grassy plain with a very small grey mountain beneath us. There, said Professor Stegg. It is now an extinct volcano, but look. On the side of the extinct volcano was carved the face of Splod, still recognisable, even though it was much eroded by time and the weather, and in the single eye was a huge green emerald, a perfect twin for the one that had been attached, we had attached to the time machine. Right, said Professor Stegg. Grab me that special shiny greeny stone. I went over to the ladder of the basket and pulled down the rope. I pulled the emerald out of the eye socket. Below me on the plain, a number of brightly coloured ponies were gathered, and when I picked the emerald, one of them shouted up at me, "You must be the man without the milk. We've heard about you in our tales." "Why are you a pink pony with a pale blue star on the side?" I asked. "I know," said the pony with a sigh. "It's what everybody's wearing these days. Pale blue stars are so last year." Professor Stegg leaned over the side of the balloon's basket. "Hurry up," he called. "If the volcano is going to go off, it could do it at any moment." The volcano made a noise like a huge burp, and the middle of it collapsed into itself. "We thought it would do that," said the green pony with a sparkly mane. "There was a prophecy, I suppose," I said. "No, we're just very clever." All the ponies nodded. They were very clever ponies. "I'm so glad there were ponies," said my sister. I got back into the balloon basket. Professor Stegg unhooked the first emerald from his time machine and replaced it with the one I'd just taken from the weathered face of Splod in the future. "Do not, whatever else you might do," said the professor, "touch those two stones together." "Why not?" "Because, according to my calculations, if the same object from two different times touches itself, one of two things will happen. Either the universe will cease to exist, or 3 remarkable dwarves will dance through the streets with flower pots on their heads." "That sounds astonishingly specific," I said. "I know, but it is science. And it is much more probable than that the universe will end." "I thought it would be," I said. "You look so sad," Professor Stegg told me. "I am. It's the milk. And my children are breakfastless." "The milk," said Professor Stegg. "Of course." And with that, Professor Stegg pressed the red button with his heavily armoured tail. There was a zoom, a twarp, and a thang, and we were hurtling through the cosmic void. And then it was dark. Very dark. "Oops," said Professor Stegg. "Overshot a little. Only by a week, though. Hold on." Professor Stegg leaned over the side of the basket. "Excuse me," he said. "Is there anyone around?" "Only me," said a very surprised-sounding voice from below us. "The priest of Splod." "Who is that up in the sky? Is it a bird?" You do not sound like a bird. I'm not a bird, said Professor Steg. I am a marvellous, yet mysterious and prophetic voice telling you a mighty prophecy. So mighty that, very mighty indeed. Listen, when a huge and good-looking, spiny-backed individual, monster, I told him, the prophecy said monster, accompanied by a scrawny human being of revolting appearance, said Professor Steg, that wasn't necessary, lands in a floaty ball person carrier, you must not sacrifice them. You must instead take them to the volcano and give them the eye of Splod. And this shall be the way that you shall know them. The human being will hold up some milk. Is that the prophecy? Said a voice. Yeah. Is there anything about crops in it? I'm afraid not. Oh well, thanks anyway, prophetic and mysterious voice from the air. I pressed the red button. Daylight.